About a week or so ago, Jose and a couple of his comrades went to a meeting that Hakeem Jeffries was speaking at, and they asked him a couple of questions in reference to this crisis with Russia and Ukraine. And they asked Hakeem Jeffries if he had read Seymour Hersh's article. Now, this isn't the first confrontation that they have made. They've made multiple ones. But it was something about this one in particular that caused Hakeem Jeffries to act. So before we get into what Hakeem Jeffries has decided to do, let's go back to that very day where Jose approached Hakeem Jeffries. Now, we are going to fast forward a little bit here, or maybe we're not. I don't see the arrow on here for some reason anymore. Oh, there we go. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because Fox News actually did cover Jose's confrontation. So let's get started with that.
They wanted to know what he was going to do about the bombshell report that Biden secretly blew up Russia's natural gas pipeline during NATO training exercises.
If it is proven that the United States bombed the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, as has been asserted by Seymour Hersh and his article, will you call for the United States to acknowledge and admit that that was an act of war against Germany and Russia? And I'm asking this because this may be the only way to prevent the rest of us from being killed in a thermonuclear war. And I don't want to be fried. Don't you think the media should be reporting on whether or not this is true? And don't you think you should be inquiring into whether or not this is true?
Well, thank you for the question. One, I've got no information to suggest.
For those who are not aware, he's referring to the article that was written by Seymour Hersh, where he did say that the United States blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The White House did issue a response to that article, and their response was, at least at that time, was that is utterly false, incomplete fiction. That was the response from the White House. Pretty short response, right? For something about that. But mainstream media has decided not really to touch this issue. So, of course, Jose and other protesters are raising this issue to not just Hakeem Jeffries. They also asked this question to Richie Torres as well, which first he claimed he did know, and then he didn't know. And then, I think they all know about it. I think they just don't want to talk about it. But let's see what else happened. And then we're going to talk about what has happened since this confrontation.
That the United States was involved in bombing the Nord Stream pipeline.
Because you weren't briefed on it.
Sir, you got your chance to ask a question.
So give me an opportunity to respond.
You weren't given information because he explicitly says you weren't briefed on it. Right. Shouldn't you inquire?
So here's what I'll say about, I think, President Biden's leadership generally as it relates to the Ukraine and Russia.
We committed an act of war. What are you doing to respond to that? We have to hold Biden accountable. So listen, you're from Brooklyn, right? You know when to call when you see it.
I know you guys said it's too loud. I'm trying to turn the volume down. There we go.
So do I. This is right now, and I see what's happening right now. That does not silence me. So, you can hear me right now. I want you to say something about the bombing, because we're all going to die from a nuclear war right now unless you stop it and you at least put and inquire into whether or not it's true. This war in Ukraine is going to leave us all dead. So what are you going to do? Because you need to inquire. I'm a New Yorker too.
Here's what I'll say.
Say it.
We're going to continue to stand with the Ukrainian people.
Do not do that. You will end us all dead.
In this war against
We need peace. We need talks.
Because
why are you sabotaging talks? Do not put your hands on me. We need peace talks. I am not going to take this. We need peace talks. You are leaving. Listen.
Democracy.
Did you even read the allegations?
Notice how Hakeem Jeffries is choosing not to really address whether or not he read that article. And others are doing the same thing. Like, I really do. I'm willing to bet that they are aware of it. I'm willing to bet that they probably have read it. but I'm sure they've probably also been told not to even discuss it. So this is Jose letting them know that just because they pulled the microphone away from him, that is not going to stop him from asking this question.
Between
how about accountability, not airheadedness?
and it's a battle between tyranny and freedom and democracy.
How about conversation, not cremation?
And the United States is going to help make sure that happens.
Not destruction. How about that?
How about join me?
You airhead, you're gonna kill us all.
Whoa. So, legitimate questions. A Pulitzer Prize winning journalist says we blew up the Russian pipeline. And the new Nancy, Jeffries, is acting like he's never heard of it before.
Okay, so that's what happened there. Now, what people may not be aware of, Lucy was also present there, and I did get a chance to talk to Lucy about what happened after the fact. And according to Lucy, Lucy is Blue Moon Red Wine. She's a part of Indie News Network. Lucy explained to me that actually, unlike some of the other events that they went to, at this particular event, some of the younger people that were there in the audience were curious to hear what Jose was talking about. Whereas other events that they went to was a little bit more bougie. They went to some of the more like, the private hoity-toity schools. But this was CUNY. So this is the City University of New York. So it's a public school. So you're getting people of all different like financial backgrounds. And so Jesse Waters, however you pronounce his name, Jesse, he can be very full of it as well, but he's right on this particular issue here, how they pulled him out. Hakeem Jeffries was deflecting. He didn't want to answer the question. And I'm going to play a little bit more of this here, and then I'm going to tell you what Hakeem Jeffries did to Jose. Let's go on.
At least tell us it's classified. Let us know someone's looking into it. Don't just drag one of your voters out of the room and move on. That protester speaks for a lot of people on the right and the left. No one knows how long this war is going to last. Russia's a big country. They're going to pump hundreds of thousands of guys into the front lines. It's been their strategy for every war they've ever fought in their history. And Ukraine's going to keep fighting for their country with our weapons. So do American politicians even care what we think? And how is this going to play in the upcoming presidential election?
I'll answer that question. No, they don't care what we think. No, they don't care what we think. But Jesse knows that too. Jesse knows that. But something happened after that event. Let me tell you about the first thing that happened. Let me get out of this thing. This thing is so... I don't know how to get out of there. Okay, thanks. I don't know why this is so big now. Oh, it's on 150. That's why. Okay, let me take it down. Something did happen after that event. Let me tell you about the first situation. The first item. Now I know I can say this. Jose lost his job. So I did get that confirmation from Jose. He lost his job after this incident, this confrontation. Coincidence? I think not. Remember, this is not the only one that he went to. This is not the only politician that he's confronted. And this was actually the second time that I remember, at least that's on video, that Hakeem Jeffries has come face to face with Jose. The first time was when Jamal Bowman and Hakeem Jeffries were the speakers at a town hall, and Jose confronted Jamal Bowman. Hakeem Jeffries was sitting right there up at the front of the room with him. So yes, he lost his job. But there's more.
He is seen not just as the Loch Ness monster of the swamp, but as somebody who is a, quote, warmonger. They look at Joe Biden.
Okay, why is this auto playing? Hold on. Something is playing. Give me a second. Okay, it's stopped now. Sorry, guys. Okay.
Famous. She has millions of followers.
Oh my God. Yeah, this system, I'm sorry, guys. I have a time crunch too, so I'm trying to get through this. Okay, can I add it now? Okay. All right. So let me show you what happened to Jose recently. Now, this is coming straight from him. So Jose tweeted this. We'll make it a little bit bigger for the people in the back. I was called by a special agent in the U.S. Capitol Police in Washington, D.C., who works in the Threat Assessment Department about an hour ago. Let me be clear that D.C. police calling me about an event that happened in NYC. That's D.C. police calling me about an event that happened in NYC. I don't smoke art. Maybe that's the problem. Anywho, let's go on. Let's see what else he says. She asked me questions like, will you be visiting Jeffries again? What would have happened if you weren't escorted out? Truth is, if I wasn't escorted out of the same thing, if I wasn't escorted out, the same thing would have happened at the other interventions. Jeffries wouldn't have answered me on what I demand an answer to. I asserted to her that I'm exercising my First Amendment right. I would never hurt a representative of the United States in any way, and that the characteristics of the intervention are always exclusively non-violent. This is true. There have been times when he has yelled and other protesters have yelled, but none of these have escalated into any sort of violent act. Is free speech free or not? I want my American followers to know that it is a privilege to be able to intervene at our congressional town halls. Other countries' free speech laws aren't as strong as ours, and people may end up hurt or in jail in other countries for doing what we do. And with that privilege comes a responsibility to stand up for what's right and call out injustice when you see it. These are the people who represent us, right? You have a moral obligation and the right to stand up and speak truth to power. People like AOC, Jamal Bowman, Representative Jeffries, and Representative Espellat are running scared because for once, they're being held to account. We've caused a dent. If you ever get a call like this or are harassed in any way, contact me because we're winning. Let's keep the momentum going. He went on to say this. I normally don't share this, but this is the aftermath of what happened after I confronted Representative Jeffries. If you want a master class in how to deal with cops and security the moment you're escorted, listen as the cop threatened me with the rest by grabbing my wrist and saying I need ID. So let's listen to this here. Just gonna pause here because this, let me come out a little bit. Okay. So this is after he was escorted out. Let's listen to this. Let's take a listen.
Even relax. How about that, huh? How about it? You goddamn airhead, you're gonna kill us all! I don't want to die in a goddamn nuclear war, and nobody does! Yeah, I'm leaving, relax. You fucking airhead!
One more question.
It's okay, boys. I'm good. They gonna make a point. That's not the way to.
So I take it, this is when he's walking down the hall and the guy's telling him, the security officer's telling him, if you're going to make a point, this is not the way to do it.
Come on, he said get in good trouble. I'm getting in good trouble.
That's not the good trouble right there I'm talking about, man.
Well, what kind of good trouble?
You gotta handle yourself in a better way, all right?
He's referencing John Lewis when John Lewis said, get into good trouble. And the officer is explaining to him, that's not the good trouble that we're talking about. I think the good trouble that they're talking about is for you to just vote. I really do.
This one.
Cool. Got a piece of ID on you?
No. And even if I did, I ain't got to give it to you. I'm leaving. Don't worry. What are you doing? What are you got my wrist for?
In the state of New York, you're supposed to carry ID.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't know if I got one or not.
Is that true for anyone listening? So the officer is telling Jose, in the state of New York, you have to carry ID. Really? All the time, everywhere? Going to and fro? You have to carry ID? Anybody, if you live in New York, tell me if that's the case. That wasn't the case when I lived there, but that was years ago. Things could have changed. Things could have changed. But he wanted his ID so he can see what his name is, his full name and his address. Because guess what else is on your ID? Your address. So they can know where you live. Yes, the black glitch says, yes, you do. That's crazy. That is crazy.
If you search me, that's a violation of my civil liberties and my First and Fourth Amendment rights. I'm leaving. You're wrong. That's right.
See, Jose knows his rights. That's true. Obviously, he wasn't under arrest. So he was letting him know, if you search me, that's a violation of my civil rights. I'm leaving. Bye.
Don't make it worse than what it is.
I'm not making it worse. I'm leaving.
All right.
Exactly. Don't worry. You ain't gotta hold me like this. Hey, that's my property, man.
I got the problem. I get it back.
Okay, good. Hello there. Thanks for letting me in again. It was a lot of fun. It was very informative. It was a good dialogue. You know, it was good. Yeah. Cool. I don't know what's all the need for the theatrics. Come on. All right. You leave anything up there? You gonna hold my hand all the way out?
No, you got it. No.
Oh, okay.
No. You gonna behave?
Yeah. All right. Don't worry, I got experiences and I respect y'all. I get what y'all doing. Don't worry. A little respect on my end, that's all. I just like my jacket and I'm off the property. I promise. It's a nice jacket too, you know. $50. We're good. I'm out. Take care, gentlemen. That way, right? You can walk, but that way, right? I want to make sure I'm walking the same right way so you don't think I'm...
And that's pretty much it there. So what Jose did that entire time is he was recording them. I'm pretty sure they didn't realize that. And it's probably best that he did that. Now, someone just mentioned in the chat, and I agree, Aaron said he should get a body cam. I 100% agree. You know, it's great that he recorded this, but there's no telling what could have happened to him after that confrontation. And so he did tag Hakeem Jeffries in this tweet. So Hakeem Jeffries may have seen this or not. I don't know. But what we really need to be concerned about is this part right here, where he says that he was called by a special agent in the U.S. Capitol Police in Washington, D.C., who works for the Threat Assessment Department. Because here's something that we need to talk about. Something that we need to talk about is this. There is a risk when you do this. I just told you that Jose lost his job. I don't know what the employee laws are in New York anymore. It's been years since I've lived there, but I can tell you in Massachusetts, they don't have to give you a reason for firing you. At least every company I've worked at here, like, they do not have to give you a reason. They can just fire you. But I'm pretty sure it is very, very suspicious that it happened right after this incident, and he received the phone call from the U.S. Capitol Police. So this is something to be aware of. that, yeah, it is a risk when you go to these things, especially considering who you're calling out. Like Hakeem Jeffries, this is the minority leader of the House. So obviously he's someone that's pretty high profiled, right? Calling out people like AOC, obviously that's another person that's high profiled. But that being said, should that prevent people from addressing the politicians that are supposed to represent them? No, it shouldn't. And what I want to know is why Hakeem Jeffries is trying to play cop. So Hakeem Jeffries called this. He called them on him. Do you get this? So he's a cop. And my thing is, he's not the first one to do it. He's not the first one. Max Blumenthal wrote an article about this over a year ago where AOC was doing the same thing. That police officer showed up to people's apartments in her district because she felt like she was being harassed. So she called the police. Do you see what they do? So it's just, to me, yes, Jose came up to you. He asked you a tough question, which you should have been able to answer. He has every right to be upset. He has every right to yell if he wants to. But if Jose did not physically harm you, why are you calling the police? You see why they're not for things like defunding the police? Because the police work for them. The police are going to protect Hakeem Jeffries. They're not going to protect Jose. So let's look out for Jose. Like I'm really concerned, because after I saw he lost his job, that's one thing. But now that it's gotten to this level, we may need to wrap Jose up in bubble wrap. We got to protect him because this is not cool. And here's the thing. He's not the only one who has confronted the politicians. He's not the only one, you guys. Other people have done this too. But he's the one that they remember. So I wanted to let you know that is what's happening there. And now when he speaks about good trouble, he also mentions here, Hakeem Jeffries told me to do it. Listen to this. So this is from Hakeem Jeffries, and he did make this statement. Let me scroll up here. Listen to this. This is the same event. Listen to it.
That you didn't accept, just the status quo, particularly when there was injustice connected to the status quo. That if you see something wrong, go out there and try about it. Stand up, speak up, show up, and when necessary, get into some good trouble. And, that, I think, to me, is one of the things that I'll always take away from my early days in the Congress as a new member, trying to figure out, how to navigate the House of Representatives. Washington, D.C. can be.
So Hakeem Jeffries told you to stand up and speak up. Just don't do it towards him. That's basically what he means. Just don't do it towards him.